Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. The massacres are continuing inside of the Gaza Strip, with Israel targeting purely innocent civilians on a day-to-day basis, with more images coming and proving the level of barbarism coming from the state against the emergency crews, the ambulances, the innocent civilians, people flying in the air because of the Israeli bombardment. And clearly Israel is no longer targeting the armed resistance even inside of the Gaza Strip, with their military campaign indicating that they are only purely targeting innocent civilians this time, and that is it. Even when you want to talk about their military strategy inside of the Gaza Strip, the deployment, the way they are going into invading certain parts of the Gaza Strip and imposing restrictions and sieges on certain areas, you can tell that Israel is no longer having any intention in having direct battles with the Palestinian resistance. That's why we haven't seen a lot of images coming or videos from the Palestinian resistance, apart from one in Khan Yunis that Israel confirmed, by the way. And their confirmation of that attack several days back shows that they are not interested in escalating, because they don't want a public opinion to support a military campaign, but they want a continuation of the pressure on the civilians. A military campaign against the resistance is what I meant by that. Therefore, the Palestinian resistance is resorting to launching missiles at the entity of terror as and when, every few days, alongside the attacks that are continuing from Ansarullah. But we are at a very crucial stage now. Benjamin Netanyahu went to an urgent meeting with Donald Trump. According to reports in Israel, it was Donald Trump who asked Benjamin Netanyahu to come on that date. We still don't know who asked who to meet, and there are some in Israel that are claiming that it was actually Benjamin Netanyahu, because he wants to get rid or hide away, not attend to his trial inside of Israel. And indeed, his trial for Monday was cancelled, but they haven't cancelled the one on Wednesday. He's going to meet Donald Trump on Monday only for a day, and he's going to go back in the evening. So the Israeli court said, we will cancel Monday, but we won't call off Wednesday. You have to be back. Some people are saying that it was Netanyahu who insisted on doing that, and that's why he had also a meeting in Hungary. He's also visiting other European capitals now. Reports that he's going to go to Brussels. It was going to withdraw again from the ICC. Shows you that there is no such a thing called international law, nothing but ink on paper to be used against countries that are weaker than the United States and its proxies, using this international law to fool other countries globally. And many of them, unfortunately, are still fooled to this day. This meeting that's going to take place between Donald Trump and Netanyahu is going to also be attended by Steve Witkoff. Steve Witkoff is the same man who pushed Netanyahu to go into phase one of the ceasefire. He has had some abhorrent statements after he pushed Netanyahu to go into the first phase of the ceasefire. However, there is no denying that, based on the reports that we know, well, Witkoff has the ability to apply pressure on Netanyahu to go into another ceasefire deal. In Israel, they are reporting that the purpose of the meeting between Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump is to discuss multiple things: the Turkish involvement in Syria, the threat from Iran and the prospect of attacking Iran, the attacks from Yemen and Ansarullah, but one of the main things is going to be Gaza, and it's going to be the Palestinian resistance. And one of the leading Israeli newspapers, Ma'arif, said that one of the main things that they will be focusing on in that meeting is the insistence, the persistence of Hamas in ending the war and forcing Israel to withdraw. That's one of the main things that they will be talking about. Israel has been doing everything to try and make Hamas kneel down and bow down to them. However, they're failing miserably. They killed many political leaders. They killed relatives of leaders in Hamas. They recently killed a 2-year-old grandson of Khalil al-Hayya, trying to apply pressure on him, and some depraved Zionist accounts were celebrating the killing of this 2-year-old. Multiple leaders of the organization who ran the civil side were martyred inside of the Gaza Strip, but still they are not taking any step to submit to Israel, and they are still insisting on all of the conditions that are core at their importance to the Palestinian people, and their importance to the Palestinian people, which are ending the war, withdrawing from Gaza, allowing all aid in, and rebuilding Gaza. And even Hamas, from their perspective, they already dealt with the case of the day after, saying that, well, we don't mind not controlling Gaza directly the day after. We wouldn't mind handing it to a committee. But if you want to talk about disarming the resistance, you can forget about it. And that's something that Benjamin Netanyahu knows very well. However, he's still keen on and insisting on trying to make Hamas submit by applying all of that pressure against the Palestinian resistance. And what Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't understand, and what many who support Israel don't really understand, is the fact that many Palestinians inside of the Gaza Strip view martyrdom as something greater than victory. These people have been fighting because they had no option but to fight throughout their history since the inception of this state of terror called Israel. They have been fighting constantly, and they know whether they fight or if they reduce the fighting, or if they don't fight, they're going to be targeted by Israel. That's why in 1967, Israel wasn't facing resistance as fierce as it is now, but it was from Gaza that the flame of the first intifada got out from in 1987. These people know Israel very well, a population of 73% refugees. Israel trying to impose its will on them and ethnically cleanse them isn't gonna work. And that's coming from the community. There are some people who are working to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians from within Palestine. By the way, people need to know that, and that's something very dangerous. However, even those attempts, and regardless of even some popularity of those people, we're not going to mention names now, simply isn't going to work, because the people now, with all of the destruction, all of the loss, all of the damage, people are going out and shooting videos from Gaza saying that we're not leaving here unless it's leaving Gaza to heaven. We're not leaving the Gaza Strip, forget about it. And you're talking about young kids, elderly, women, men, all of that. Of course, there's devastation going on. They're going through a genocide. But these people have been sticking to their land all along. And that's something that the United States administration and Israel, they're starting to get that feedback, even with all of this destruction and devastation. And at the end of the day, and even though this is not stated publicly, every operation will have certain time limits. There are no operations like that with no time limit whatsoever. From the beginning of the genocide, the Western allies of Israel gave it 40 days to eliminate Hamas. After those 40 days ended and they did not eliminate Hamas, they went into a ceasefire. They, of course, broke it. The war continued, and we entered another ceasefire. But when it comes to the United States administration, they have deadline. Unless, that is, because there are two options ahead, the eyes of the United States are indeed heading towards a greater war that will be a grave mistake, a very stupid mistake that even some of the most experienced military people inside of the United States and analysts are saying this is going to be a suicidal mission, especially against the United States forces in the region, who are going to be eliminated by the hypersonic missiles of Iran. And Iran is probably going to take down these aircraft carriers, and Israel will be sinking in hypersonic missiles. So this meeting is going to be very, very important. The outcome of that meeting, we are not going to know the full details about it, undeniably. However, there is potential that some leaks might happen, and there will be certain indications in the coming weeks, not exactly days, although, you know, with the United States administration, there might be a surprise. These people flip and do a 180 every other day. But the meeting is going to be very important, and it's going to decide how things will be going moving forward. Are they going to be going towards more escalation and destruction, or is the United States administration under Trump and Witkoff going to force Netanyahu again to go into phase 2 and finally end the war, because this attempt has failed into making Hamas and the Palestinians kneel down, even with all of the genocide inside of the Gaza Strip?